Now, AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, all those other ones, they promise to make government contracting easier, but how good are they really? Can AI identify the right opportunities? Can it build your content or your capture strategy? Can it write you a compliant, airtight proposal? And which decisions should you really never hand over to a robot at all? So today, I'm going to be ranking the 12 most valuable GovCon activities based on how well AI helps to manage it. Some tasks are practically made for AI, and others still require judgment, relationships, and really are made for human beings still. Now let's build that tier list. Hey, so if you don't know what a tier list is, this is what it is. And I got the idea from my daughters and some of the YouTubes they watch where guys and girls, rate TikTok things they bought and they like drag them onto the list and all that stuff. I thought it'd be a fun idea to just rank how using AI in GovCon kind of works. And I grabbed the top 12 basic, tasks that AI could potentially handle. And these are also kind of the top 12 tasks for government contracting. So I put them all up here right above my head. I'm kind of in the way. And one by one, I'm just going to drag it to the list, rank it from an A to F, and S means like super duper or something like that. So this is the best you can get, and then it's ranked down just like grade school. So let's start out with learning how GovCon buys. I'm going to go ahead and drag this. Let's see it. I'm going to drag it around. I'm going to rank it a little bit, but let's talk about it. Government contract folks, agencies buy, different NAICS codes, different products and services in different ways. So the best way I found is go to USA Spending, click the past 3 or 4 years, drop in your NAICS code or keywords and find kind of a sweet spot there. Sometimes PSC codes are good too, but dropping all that in there and fine tuning it and then looking at the search results. And of course, at the top of USA Spending, you see all of the individual awards. But if you just scroll down below that, there is a place where it shows you a nice little graph of the different agencies. You can even click to see the sub-agencies. So maybe the Army buys what you sell. Maybe it's NIH, maybe it's Department of Transportation, but you will see a nice bar with the amount in that period that was spent on your NAICS code or your keywords or however you fine-tuned it. That is a very manual thing. I think people are really good at that. But I will give it to Claude, and I haven't tried this with ChatGPT, but the API or that kind of like the porting back and forth of data between Claude and USA Spending is pretty solid. So if you just talk to Claude and you type, you can kind of have a conversation even if you want to. You probably could get to the bottom of it pretty easily. The issue is that I think learning and doing it yourself is probably going to be the best way. So I'm going to give AI a C on that one, just because people are better at it still. The next one is a go, no-go process. So everybody should have a good one of these. You get an understanding of what you do and where the center of your lane is, or kind of like, I like to call it the center of your target, almost like throwing darts or shooting bows and arrows. So you want to aim for the bullseye on that. And with AI, you actually can tell it what the bullseye is. Takes a little bit of time, but if you do that, you can drop the RFQ and any other documents in there. It's pretty darn good at the go, no go, although you don't want to trust it. I would try to poke holes in the AI's response and make sure it's not hallucinating and losing you a nice big project. So on this, I would give it a B. I don't think it's at the A level yet because I think a human needs to get involved and it's important for a human to get involved. Next up is capture planning. Now, a lot of small businesses don't even know what this is. It's basically, the whole process altogether. It's kind of like looking at everything. Building research plans and opportunity profiles I'm reading on here, obviously. Action calendars. These are like the things that big companies do. And for capture planning, you probably could, I'll put that in a B area as well. Maybe between A and B. Because I think AI is really good at kind of like you talk to it, you give it what you do and where your goal goals are at and all that. And AI is really good at kind of generating those plans. But now let's get into more fun stuff. This is market research. So learning how the government buys is one thing, but market research, I would more say that is learning who your competitors are. What's the market like? How swamped is it with competition? Or if it's not so swamped, that's always a good thing too. But doing that research involves going into different areas. USA Spending is obviously a big one. GSA has some really good resource pages and data, places that you can go and grab that data and do it. AI is actually really good at, if you as a human pull that data together, you can dump it in there, tell it what you want to see, and it can do it for you. So I'm going to actually put market research up here. Although humans are going to be better at tracking down the data, I think AI is going to do a fantastic job at actually turning that data into some really good kind of like metrics and surfacing results or actions from it. Now let's go into recompete research. This is basically, your competitor has a big contract in your backyard. You're getting into government contracting. You want, when that contract is going to expire, let's say it's a 5-year and it's expiring next year in 12 months. You want to start planning to go after recompeting and winning that. So setting up a plan for that, identifying those kind of contracts. AI is actually really good at that. I love in USA Spending how I can do that. So you can talk to Claude, you can connect it to USA Spending, tell it what you do, tell it what a perfect project is for you, and ask it what projects are out there that are coming up for recompete in the next, let's say 24 months. And you start to lay the groundwork to go after and win those from the incumbents. AI is actually fantastic at that. Now another boring one, building a compliance matrix. AI is really good at boring things, so I'm going to put this up here. You upload the RFQ, AI is going to pull the compliance topics all into one place and can generate a matrix. And if you have a lot of the data about your company and how your QC processes are and your compliance and your certs and all that stuff, if all that data is already there, you feed it all together and AI is going to do a great job. You're just going to have to edit it, make sure it's right. All right, let's look at this. So finding partners. If you're a sub, you want to find primes. If you're a prime, you want to find subs. But this is kind of hard to do. You have to go to, the different sites and find out, let's say you're a sub and you want to find primes. You want to go make more money working with primes. You have to find the primes that are actually winning contracts in what you do. So AI is pretty good for that. You can also do the research yourself. I'm going to give it kind of a C because I think humans and AI are on the same level here. So, I'm not going to give AI an A if it's something that a human can do just as good. Most companies don't fail because they're not good enough. They fail because they don't have a system. Discover the Fed rocket orbit system. There's a link below. Now, sources sought and RFI responses. This is one that, a lot of folks don't go after these because there are no solid dollars attached. It's like, why would I compete for something that I get to then go and compete for again? But they are really important, especially long-term planning. Everybody hears, the government knows who they're going to award to before they even, release the bid. This is how they know who they're going to award to before they release the bid a lot of times. So if you get in there and you establish a relationship, you help them kind of construct and learn and figure out what their solution is going to need, hey, you're in a prime position to go ahead and win that. Now, the problem is that for small businesses, we don't have a lot of time. This is where AI can really help. And you can take in the sources sought, and as long as you have some really good data about your company and everything, you could even just feed it your website if your website's, pretty mature and built out, and just say, get a response together for the sources sought. And you can also feed it a lot of internal technical knowledge and help the government on that sources sought as well. If you have internal SOPs, you could say, okay, pull these SOPs together into the AI and help it build the response for the sources sought as well there. And you're not handing over your actual SOP. You're just kind of adjusting their specific needs and just leveraging your SOP, not just, for your internal processes, but you're leveraging it to go out and win some business as well, which is a pretty cool thing. I like that, and I'm going to give it an A. Proposal checklist. So you get a proposal, or you get an RFQ. It's a big document, hundreds of pages. What do? I think this is actually an AI, this is a powerhouse place for AI. Proposal checklisting, I'm going to give this a B. I know I kind of just spoke really highly of it, but AI is really good when you feed it the RFQ. at pulling the checklist together. But it's so important to check the checklist because a crazy amount of time and effort can go into writing a proposal just to lose it because you used the wrong font, or it was a, set aside for HubZone or something wacky that AI didn't quite catch, or maybe it caught it, but it was way up here and you talked to the AI and you rebuilt the checklist and then it just got dropped. So that happens too. So I'm going to give that a B because it's so helpful in the beginning, but you still have to scan everything to make sure not, a semi-important item isn't dropped from the checklist by accident. All right, where are we at now? What should we do next? Let's do proposal reviews. So in this case, it's kind of the opposite. So the proposal checklist, you're at the start and you're getting the checklist together. After you've checked every box and it's completed, you're probably so tired at that point, you just want to get it in, but you can't do that. This is where AI can be really helpful as an evaluator. And that's where prompting, being a really good prompt engineer helps, because you could say, act like you are the KO. You could even feed the KO's like LinkedIn profile in there and say, you're this person. You're making a decision on who's going to win. I want you to evaluate this RFQ. I want you to upload all of the supplemental documents and say, here's my proposal. Act like a complete anal retentive person and find every reason that this proposal would lose. And AI is going to do a good job of giving you that big list of you could have done this, could do this. And some of the things on that list are going to be nitpicky, but that's what you asked it for. You can really, really get some high quality proposal writing if you have the time left over before submission to put it through the ringer and make it as good as you possibly can. And really, what's the point of putting 20 hours into a proposal that's a losing proposal when all it takes is 2 more hours to do some proposal reviewing with AI or a team? It's always good to throw it through every human you can as well, but AI is really good for this. All right. Now we're on to bid tracking. So there are a lot of bid tracking services in AI. I think like nowadays, if I go on like the GovCon Reddit, it's like, hey, I built a tool and it does bid tracking. Every day there's like 3 new companies that open up for bid tracking in GovCon. But AI itself is not super great at it. It's good at the actual like data pulling and maybe even the go, no-go stuff and doing that for you in a somewhat automated way. But the interface isn't great. And that's where like those tools come in and help. So AI itself being kind of like the chatbot interface, I'm going to give this like I don't know what an E is. I'll give it a D because it's good if you use, I would say, Claude Cowork and you have the connectors bringing Sam in and they're well trained on what you do and what a great project is for you. It can do a good job. You can say, hey, one popped up and here it is. It's a good one for you. But it's still not going to have a lot of the bells and whistles that the tools have, unfortunately. Now, the capability statement. I'll give this kind of a C. Cap statement, it needs a human touch. It needs to be designed well. It can write good content for the cap statement. It can condense good content because you don't want your cap statement more than a page or 2. It can be a really good evaluator. You can say, here's my capability statement, roast it. And it'll tell you, you don't have your SAM UI is missing. You didn't go enough into your past performance. Trust isn't going to be there with buyers. So it can give you good feedback. But as far as building it and making it visually, kind of like user-friendly and all that, it's good at the data stuff, making sure you have all the data points that you should. It's not going to be super good at the kind of like the part that makes a cap statement work for you as a, from person to person, because it's human eyes that are still evaluating. And that's it. Look at this big black void above my head. We did it. We went through all of these. I did. Hopefully you kind of, got some value from this. If you agree with me or disagree, let me know in the comments. If you're like, no, market research, AI stinks at that, I would have given it a D. Let me know. I want to know your thoughts on this too, because I'm just one guy and it takes a community to get small businesses working together to go out and win and start taking some of the projects away from the big guys. So yeah, in the end, I think what we kind of found is AI's best when it comes to like the document heavy research, extraction, organization, comparing stuff. It's good at first drafting, but not necessarily trusting it for the final draft unless it's like a final draft evaluation. So human in the middle, AI on both ends. I think that's kind of the way to go, a human sandwich. It's not super capable if if you're relying on humans to judge the quality of something, make a final decision. Strategic, like judgment, that's where, this is still, king. And on the whole, we're living in a pretty sweet spot. AI isn't hallucinogenic as it used to be, a year ago here in 2026. I don't know where it's going in 2027, but we're in that place where AI is actually works really hard for us. It's relatively cheap, although I think as it gets used more and more, it gets out of control. So watch your costs. And AI is, not our overlord yet. So we're kind of in that sweet spot. It's really helpful for us. It's not trying to kill us. Hope you like this.